What's going on, Defiance? Another episode here. Bitcoin, crypto, latest alpha insights, discussions, and news that are going on in the crypto world. This is a very rapid evolving space. So being here, watching us, we're all front running the opportunity. And as usual, we're going to get into some charts. We got some price action today, definitely down 6% on Bitcoin, sitting at just under 41,000. But this correction's long overdue. And then, throughout this podcast, we're going to talk more into like psychology and having a plan, because most people that bought at like 44, and I'm sure they're down on their positions, like that's the thing, what happens when you chase FOMO. So we're going to get into a little bit of systems today, a little bit of charts, and talk about some things that are brewing on our chest. So we have 41K Bitcoin. Looking at the daily chart, that's too short of time frame, so I like to always look at the weekly. Some people say that this is a local top. If you do look at the price action in 2019 June, you can see that Bitcoin topped out at around 13K before we had that black swan event. But if let's just say there wasn't a black swan event like the coronavirus, and we eliminate that liquidation, you see this candle right here? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You lived through it all.
Mm-hmm.
If we eliminate that, like we still did have like a 30% drawdown. But, this is normal. This is healthy for the market. What I like to tell people is if you can't tolerate, a 20-30% correction, you don't deserve the 300-400% gains. So, like, just stay intact with your emotions. Don't be too emotional. Take a look
It's also a good indicator of where we're at in this cycle.
Yeah.
We're at the very beginning of the cycle, because if this was full-on bear market, it would be well within the realm of possibility that we could have a 25 to 30% drop in one day. It happened 6 times last cycle. It happens multiple times every single cycle. So in the middle of like bull market FOMO, you're going to see drops of like 30%.
Yeah.
So if these 5 or 6% drops shake you out, you're going to have
Crypto's
to really.
not for you.
Well, I hate to say that, but like you're going to have to really get your resolve up and your conviction up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you bought for the first time at 44 and you're gonna think, and you're even thinking about selling at 41, then yes, it's probably not for you. You should, investing is not for you. Not just this market. You should probably just not invest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like you're going to make decisions with your money, and you're going to see short-term price action occur, and you just have to understand that you didn't buy yesterday or the day before to sell today. Like, were you going to sell if it went to 50K? Like if you bought like 0.1 Bitcoin, let's say you spent 4,400 and bought 0.1 of a Bitcoin, and the price went up to 5,000, are you going to, or 50,000, are you going to sell for a $600 profit in 3 days? Like,
No. You're
you're not doing that. So like, why are you upset if you bought at 44 and it went down to 41 or 40.5? Like, this is just price action. This is the volatility that you need to get those huge candles. You're going to have action down. People are going to get shaken out of the market. The weak hands are going to sell. The weak always sell to the strong. So what I do think, not to take too much because this is more your area, the charts, than me, but I just want to, from my multiple cycles that I've been in, just as what I'm observing that I think is pretty alpha into what we're talking about. I think we're going to see, I don't think we'll see as many 25 to 30% drops this cycle as we saw last, only because every time we have those washouts, the weak hands end up selling to the strong hands. So then there's way more strong hands than weak hands. So this next cycle, there's just not going to be that many weak hands to be selling multiple times like that. We'll still see some, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we'll see that many. But even if we do, get ready for it, because we saw that from 3K to 69K, and we saw that happen 6 times, and we still went from 3 to 69.
Yeah. Ethereum, 2190, down 6-7%. So both the market leaders are down about 6-7%. We tapped just under 2,400, but yeah, we're sitting at 2190 on the Ethereum chart. But that's really what we're going to go over, is just a Bitcoin Ethereum chart. Altcoins, and a little strategy I like to do, and it's been effective, is when we have liquidations like this, I like to see the altcoins or the mid-cap coins that bounce back the strongest, like Injective. There's a bunch of like Render. There's other coins that, like Optimism, these coins already like bounce back. Like they had their quick little flush, like a few hour candle of like their sell off, but then they quickly get bought back up. And then I like to identify what coins got bought up the fastest and filled that gap. and that's the coins that I think are going to be the outperformers in the bull run. I don't know. We can actually pull up Injective. It's a layer 1. I don't know if have you heard of Injective?
I've heard of it. I just don't really.
You don't care about anything about
it's
Bitcoin.
not the. Yeah, I mean. Yeah.
So look at this chart. I've been accumulating this around the $7 range. I know Mark Cuban's a big believer in this, and he tweeted about this when this was at around like $2. But you can see this chart is parabolic, and this is up 8% today. And this is the coins where people are taking profits and rotating them into those stronger altcoins. But this is something to keep an eye on, because I think this is a triple-digit coin. We're trading at $23 right now. It's called Injective.
What's the total market cap right now?
On this?
This is no. I'm sorry. I should have been clear. The entire crypto market cap.
Total crypto market cap is 1.5 trillion.
Because I think we topped at like
1.6.
No, 1.7. I saw 1.7.
But it depends on TradingView.
I saw it on CoinStats.
Yeah, probably it's different on.
So I mean, we've only what's that? 100 million that we're. Would that be 100 million? Be 100 million, right?
Yeah, for Bitcoin. Yeah.
100.
Are we done with the chart? We're done with the chart.
100 billion.
We're done with the chart.
Yeah.
All right.
It'd be 100 billion that we're off, which in the grand scheme isn't that huge. So it's like some of the money from Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think, did get spun off into some of these smaller cap projects, and people are increasing their positions there. Money didn't just overall just leave en masse out of the market.
Right. I think like the price action is important, but like I said, like it's more about the conviction and the belief system. For someone that's just FOMOing in at 44K, they probably don't have the conviction or the hours of studying the protocols or this asset class. So it makes sense why you might be nervous. For someone that's been in since 2017 and just done over 20, 30, 40, 50 hours of research, this is another day. This is actually an opportunity.
Well, it's inevitable only because for the last like 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe even like the last month, like crypto's been hitting more mainstream news media outlets. People have been talking about it. People are noticing it going from the mid-20s up to the mid-40s. It's a big price action. So obviously you're going to have newer people come in that don't have the conviction, that don't have the strong hands. Those are the sellers.
Yeah.
So there had to be some moment where we had a sell-off. And honestly, like, I'm surprised it took this long. Like,
I know.
I thought me and you've been talking about it. Like, I still think like this sell-off could go down to 30. Like I told you, I sent you a screenshot before we got in here today. I put a market order in for my DCA at 39.9 just because I assume it's going to go under 40. I did it at 40.5, and then we'll walk in the studio and it's at 41 again, which is fine. But yeah, I think it's it's still within the cards. And like I said on last week's podcast, 48K is a big number, because if we pass that, then everything up to 48K kind of correlates with previous pre-halvening cycles. Mm-hmm. If we were to get past 48 before the halvening, then that would signal possibly some sort of breaking of the cycles in like uncharted territory. And this correction before Christmas and before the new year kind of puts everybody back at their back in the realm of understanding. Like, 'cause people have been talking about, what are we going to end the year at? 50K, the all-time. It's like, slow down. Like, it's not going to happen that fast. Like, the big candles are coming. They're just not coming yet.
Well, I'm thinking in terms of like hedge funds and people that do like private equity and like crypto funds. They're coming down to their end of the year performance. So they want to either lock in profits to, distribute. I'm trying to look in the perspective of a hedge fund manager in crypto. Like, don't you think some of the selling pressure is from these people that run funds that are trying to get their performance for their clients, or is this just like normal everyday pricing?
Well, if you remember last year, because we were doing this podcast last year around the end of the year. Yeah, I know.
We had our 1-year anniversary, right?
Yeah. If you look at last year, because last year was a down year, there was a lot of tax harvesting going on. So the price downward pressure was occurring at the end of the year because people were selling off.
And then the start of that. And
the start of the year was that catalyst, because they were selling coins and then they were rebuying it after the first of the year for the tax harvesting purposes, because they were taking a loss for 2022. 2023 has been different. 2023 has been a lot of profit. At one point, we were up 150%. I think we're still up 125, 130% from the beginning of the year. So there isn't really a lot of benefit to tax, because if you sell, then you have to realize those gains.
Yeah.
So I think that actually may work as a stabilizer to not go down a little bit farther. We might be just range bound in these, low 40s until we hit the beginning of the year, and that I believe it's January 8th. January 6th, January 8th, or January 10th. One of those 3 days. I don't know for sure. It might be different depending on the fund, is ETF day. And the overwhelming market sentiment is that there's going to be like 8 or 9 that are going to go all at once. So that'll definitely be a catalyst for price action.
What do you think about? Do you think the approvals will have the approvals in January for the ETF? Because I think we're gonna have the approvals all at the same time.
Yeah, the Bloomberg desk, some very smart gentlemen that are much smarter than you or I are calling 90% likelihood that it'll be in January. So I mean, these guys are piped in. They got contacts all throughout the markets, contacts in all the players that are involved in the ETF. So if they say it's going to be 90%, you can pretty much lock it in that it's probably going to occur. So I would say that when that happens, we'll get price action. I'm very curious to see what that price action looks like, only because it would have been different if like we weren't talking about it and then all of a sudden you just like you woke up one day and BlackRock got approved and and the market just like that, kind of like that day. Was it almost 2 months ago now, where there was a rumor that it happened and the price action was happening because it came out of nowhere, and then that's kind of was the catalyst for like, okay, this is getting real, it's picking up steam. So because we've had a couple of months to kind of like digest this, my personal opinion, not financial advice and not what will play out per se, but I don't think we're gonna go like all-time high levels like people are calling for on their engagement farming and their social medias and their content creators that say this. I just don't think that's realistic. I don't think we're going to see a $69,000, $70,000 Bitcoin a couple of weeks after the ETFs are approved. Number one, because the approval doesn't equate to money coming into the market. That's just giving them the green light to do that. It'll take a couple of months for that to actually occur. What I think realistically is going to happen, if you were to ask me my opinion, I think approval, we get some green candles, we get some price action. Maybe we hit 50. Maybe we get that high, right? Possibly. Maybe even 48 because of that number's relevance to the market and how it's relevant to the market cycles. And then I think we just kind of like hit a little bit of a wall and there's a little bit of a stagnation, because I think it's that January approval is set up perfectly to equate with money coming in post-halvening. So then the combination of the halvening of what that does to the markets and the supply-demand dynamics, as well as money actually going into these ETFs, then we'll start to see the real price action.
What do you think about these influencers that post like these trading strategies or their exit plans, and they're big Bitcoiners and they talk all about Bitcoin, but then they talk about, oh, I'm going to lock in 95% of my position once we break, all-time highs. It's like, are you really orange pilled, or are you doing this for hype? Like, because you're not a true Bitcoiner if you're going to be selling 95%
This is a good segue into one of the topics I wanted to cover, which was talking about X and talking about spaces and all this stuff that goes on in X. There's a couple of people that I follow that have been in Bitcoin for a while. I'm not going to dox them because I'm not trying to engage them in fire by calling them out or whatever the case may be. But if you look at my X or my Twitter handle, you can see, because I've been interacting with some of these guys, and some of my interactions have gotten a lot of views as a result of their like controversial takes. So there's a couple of these guys that were very early in Bitcoin and they've accumulated a lot of Bitcoin, even a lot of ETH. So they're young and they have high net worths because they got a lot of the blue chips. They got a lot of the blue chips early, so they made a lot of money in those. And they'll shill investing strategies that work for somebody with high net worths, but just don't work for your average layman. And again, I know that you've said that you've been in like 50 different coins before too, but like you study the market. You're like living this, so you know what you're doing. These people that are following these big accounts are not us. They're not these types of people, overwhelmingly so, right? So he was talking about how his position is to like spray and pray almost, where he'll throw like 50 or 60 money in his 50 or 60 different coins and then just hope to hit on that one that like 100 or 1,000 X's, and then he just makes up for. And it's like, I understand what he's trying to say. And for somebody that's studied and knows what they're doing and is like allocating the resources correctly, it could work. But for like the majority of your followers, when you have 300 or 400 or 500,000 followers, and most of your followers are just not that like advanced in their trading or their understanding of finance, and you're trying to get them to like emulate that strategy, they're just number one, they don't have the assets to allocate. They don't have 100,000, 500,000, $1 million to do that. They might only have like a couple thousand. maybe 10,000 at the most. If you're going to take 10,000 and spray them into 50 coins, like you could there's a possibility you missing everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So a day like today and that 10,000 turns into like 7 or 8. And if you don't really have the conviction in your study, you're just going to walk away with a $3,000 loss. Or you'll double down into shitty projects and you'll end up liquidating everything, because then you'll start doing leverage, because they advocate for that as well. So there's like, it's a nuanced conversation, because there's a lot of things that these influencers will talk about. Number one, like there's coins that they'll talk about that I don't, and I've been in crypto forever and I never heard of them, never heard of these coins. Maybe you might have heard of them just because I'm more of a Bitcoin maxi and I just don't know all that. But like, and then but sometimes I'll put them into coin stats and I'll take a look at like market caps and I'll see this coin was created like 3 months ago and the market cap's like, the total market cap's like 5 million. And it's just like, dude, it's a rug pull. Like it's an obvious rug pull. Yeah. And the people that are going to make money in it are already in. Yeah. You're coming in for their exit liquidity. You know what I mean? So I think it's dangerous. Some of these bigger accounts on the information that they give, and you have to be extremely careful on the information that you're choosing to follow.
And a lot of these people that post, they strictly benefit and profit from posting. You know, you got 500, 1 million followers, and you're talking about a crypto coin with a market cap of 5 million, and you're already in. You're gonna make money from your people buying it. So like, do you really give a shit about the people who follow you, or are you just doing this all for yourself? Is that a lawsuit? Like, there's got to be like, even though you don't like, you're not doing a pump and dump, you don't create a coin, create a token contract, and tell people to buy. But this is, you know, you come across a coin and you act like, oh, I'm here for the tech. I'm here for the tech. You ain't there for the tech, bro.
They're very careful in their wording. On making sure that they're not giving financial advice. So they're good at what they do. That's why they have the followings that they do in regards to like engagement farming and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think that there's like a lot of litigation, because I mean they had even like Ben Armstrong, BitBoy, like he had a lawsuit against him that was dropped, that he was put into. And again, no, he was a part of the FTX lawsuit. They were trying to say that he was, you can say what you want about Ben Armstrong, and I'm sure that would get a lot of people riled up when you talk about BitBoy, Ben Armstrong, and all that saga. And I'm not trying to do that right now, but I'm just trying to make a point. He was lumped into that FTX stuff where they were saying that he was paid to promote. And he had talked about the FTT token, and he had talked about FTX on his channel, but he was never a paid promoter. He was never sponsored by FT. So there was, like, he was lumped into this, and he actually never did any of those things that they were accusing him for. So he's got a lot of other legal stuff going on right now, but for that specific like lawsuit, like he was dropped from it because he was just doing what other people do. Oh, I'm gonna add FTX to my portfolio, or I'm gonna take FTX out, or I think FTX is like stuff that we might do. Like, oh, you might say Solana is a great, like, doesn't mean you're promoted by Solana, doesn't mean you're telling everybody to buy it. You're saying, this is what I think, this is what I'm doing, take what you will. So there's a lot of gray area, especially with crypto being so new and people looking to make money quickly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, most people don't understand stocks and you know, put options and all that, like all the crazy stuff that goes along with like equities. Like, they don't understand that, but they understand like Pepe coin, or they understand like Shiba Inu, or they know I can go on an exchange and buy it and like try to hold this token and watch go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100x and then sell it and make money. Like, they get that. Plus the degeneracy of it and the gambling aspect that people are attracted to. So all that together is enticing. And again, to get back to the engagement for some of these like bigger accounts on X, like, you're paid for impressions. So like, all I really have to do is put up my sweet spot, if I'm one of these guys, is trying to find something that's super polarizing, that either people really, really love or people really, really hate. And if I can get half the people to really love and half the people to really hate it, get the engagements up, then the impressions go up, and then the money that I make off of that also goes up. Same thing when they make videos on, like, a lot of these content creators on YouTube. Like, I'm not just saying this because I've been around for I was around for like Crypto Nick, and I was around for like Trayvon James, and I was around for David Seaman back when he was talking about, if he's the first guy I ever heard Ethereum from. He was talking about Ethereum when it was under $1. I was watching videos of him. So crazy. Like, but these guys, maybe them and others, like they have these channels and they have these large followings of people, and it's not always with the best intentions. They're more concerned with numbers than they are with content. For us, like, our numbers aren't really, really high, but we're not sacrificing like our integrity. We're not sacrificing what we believe in. We're not sacrificing how we feel about this market to necessarily try to just jump our numbers up and try to get super crazy and controversial, or to give shitty like, oh, I think here's our video for the top 10 coins that are definitely gonna moon this. It's like that's what they do, and it's like I'm not comfortable doing that. Like I say, buy Bitcoin, hold for 30 years. Like that's not sexy. Like that's boring. People are gonna see it and turn off. That's not. But like if you want generational wealth means generations. It doesn't mean to create wealth in the next 6 months. Nor do I know how to do that with any sort of accuracy. And there's very, very few people in the world that can do that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think Twitter Spaces, like I know we had a segment into this, and we actually hosted our first Twitter Space on Wednesday.
Yep.
8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Definitely tune in and collaborate with us, bring some people. But there's so much value in this, and it's crazy that like because we just really started building on X. But we were just in a space with Elon Musk, Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, and who else?
Vivek Ramaswamy, who was pissing live on the X Space.
It was just so funny. Casual. This guy's pissing live.
And you also what was like awesome is not even the fact that there was like 120,000 people at like peak at one time, and there's probably gonna be millions that watch it even on replay and playback. But you had those guys. You had the Alex Jones. You had the Elon Musk.
We were just missing Tucker Carlson.
You had the Tate. You had like those what you might call like libertarian right wing type guys. Then you had some lefties up there as well that came up on stage that were pushing back, and were also like you had a lot of like debate and conversation, which is the value of spaces. Like you don't want to be stuck in echo chambers and
like a modern day news channel. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I'll talk about like my journey here. Like I've always used, and I'll call it Twitter because it's just always going to be Twitter to me, even though it's X. Like I've always used Twitter for my news. Like I've been doing it for years, right? I had an old Twitter account that got suspended because I posted something that was fiscally conservative, but it was considered right wing in 2018 or 19, and my account got frozen because of that.
That's amazing.
It was a financial article, and I commented on the financial article, but it was considered right wing. And back then, Twitter, Twitter files came out. They were going after. I'm not even saying I'm conservative, but I'm a fiscal conservative. Like my financial thoughts fall into like a fiscal conservative way. So I just commented on an article and retweeted it, and that account was done.
That's not freedom of speech.
No, it wasn't, but it used to not be. So then I created a new account, which I have now since 2019. And I've always, like I said, I've never tried to build a following on there. I've just used it for just my news. Like I go on and I research news articles, and I try to study on there, and I think I find the best information on there. In the past month and a half, I've really like tried to like engage on there. And I went, I mean, it's
posting
not,
like 10, 20 times a day. Dude.
Yeah, it's not huge, but I like, when I wasn't trying, I think I had like 100 and something followers, and most were people just that I knew, like friends and stuff like that just like are local. When I made like an active effort to try to like engage, I'm like over 800 followers now in like a month. I mean, it's for most people, it doesn't seem, it's not that much, but like
do that for another
year. You put effort in, and you multiply that, and it's like, and now I have people following me, and I'm also following other people that I'm gaining more insight and information. When I put something, they'll respond, so I'm getting like different perspectives out of my echo chamber, because I started following people that I don't even agree with, and they're following me back, which is wonderful. Like I don't want to just have all these people that like think Bitcoin's the greatest thing since sliced bread, or think exactly. I want to follow people that like push back. So I'll post something, and then I get a different perspective, so I can see that. Look, they fill my blind spots. So again, like to go back to the spaces that we created, me and you co-host together. The one that we did on Wednesday was really great. I think we might have had like 19 total people check it out, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for the first week it wasn't bad. But the people that were in there were engaging, asking us like legitimate conversations, great follow-up questions, and also saying like, what if this happens? Or what if this, like, you know what I mean? Like, not just like the sky is always blue.
Agreeing with us.
Like, yeah, what happens when like this other, and that's why we're creating, it's called Bitcoin and Friends. You can follow me at RANALLI_Don. And you can give them your
DeFi gadget, but I do plan on changing the username, but we'll keep it at that for now.
Yeah. So I have it up now. I have the reminder set, and I'll retweet it a couple more times as the week goes on. Wednesday's going to be Wednesday's 2 days away from when we're doing this now. But yeah, like I want anybody. It's called Bitcoin and Friends. We'll talk about Bitcoin, but we'll talk about finances. We'll talk about all kinds of things related to just things that are going on. These spaces sometimes evolve into completely off-topic conversations, which can be cool too. It's not always just the topic of whatever the person's doing. Yeah, I think Axe is just a really underutilized place to engage with other people. And like I said, a lot of these spaces are pretty safe. It helps to have a host and a co-host that keep it. Like that Elon one yesterday, there was a couple dudes that got on stage and were getting a little out of line, and then Mario just like kicked them off the stage, and it's like, we're not having that. Like you can disagree, but like there has to be an understanding that we're going to be respectful.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with me, but there just has to be respect. And most of the spaces, like Alchemist, I don't know if you know who he is. He's a crypto guy. He runs them like every morning, and sometimes I'm in all of his. Like every time I see him pop up, I'll jump in. He's got a really good one that I like to jump into. And there's like a couple other ones too. Obviously, like Gary Cardone does them a lot of times at night, and he gets a lot of Bitcoiners that come in and talk and conversate. It does turn into a little bit of shitcoining sometimes, which I tolerate it, but the conversation usually gets back on track. But yeah, like X is just like really like a really, really good spot to like we're producing this video here. You're gonna probably watch it a day or two after we do this, unless you're watching us on TikTok right now live, which is really cool. But like the spaces that you can interact in real time and ask questions in real time, like instead of like commenting on a video and hoping that your comment gets seen by the person or the posters that posted it. Like if you jump in a space, you have the opportunity to get in, especially like try to find those spaces that got like under 100 people in them, because like they bring 10 people on stage, like only 10% of the audience is on the stage. You have a shot to get on the stage and to collaborate
and meet some new people.
Most of these people will bring, like I said, like Gary Cardone has brought me on the stage multiple times. Who the hell am I? You know what I mean? Like, so like they'll allow you to come up there, and if you don't sound like an idiot and you provide some sort of value, like they'll let you keep collaborating, and then you learn. You know what I mean? And then maybe you get some pushback, and maybe your positioning will evolve, and that's good. It's a good thing. Like you should never be stuck in one thought chamber.
Yeah, it could hurt you financially too if you're not looking at like the things and other perspectives. And the great thing about Twitter Spaces is there's multiple spaces. You don't have to stay in one space. You could leave, go in another space, go in another, and see which one fits for you. But yeah, Wednesday 8:30 p.m. if you're watching this live. Tune in, follow us on Twitter. We just gave you our handles, and stay active and collaborate with us. DM us, see if we'll have you on and maybe have you as a speaker. And
yeah, when I was hosting it, I was like literally like they weren't even requesting it. I was giving speakers and they were just like either take it or decline it. Like
yeah.
Because at one point we only had like 10 or 11 people in the room, and I can give out 10 speakers, and I just gave them out to everyone. And it's like whoever wants to speak, you got a mic. You know what I mean? And some people declined, and some people took the opportunity and collaborated.
And that's why this is game changing, because if you watch like modern day news, you can't have that opportunity. You can't jump in on news and talk about your perspective. Like you're forced to see what they show you. So it's really cool. I think this is like the new future of news is Twitter Spaces. And X is going to be much more than just video chat, calling, spaces. Like I know Elon's in talks of making it an exchange where you could send money, transfer. Like it's going to be a Venmo, it's going to be a YouTube, it's going to be an Instagram.
He's adding video to it.
Yeah,
where you're going to be able to actually like not only speak but be seen. Like have the opportunity to like be like on a Zoom call, like where they can see you while you're talking as well.
I like it because then you can like put emojis and like wave and like 100 signs. Like you can show like some of your emotions.
And if you're up on the stage, like the people that are speaking can see in real time like your agreement, or they can, like let's say you put a thumbs down or like a laughing emoji, then they might stop and say like, hey Don, like what do you disagree with what I'm saying, or where's my leaks and my thesis, and then you can just like talk about it and have a conversation, and that's how you learn, man. Like this is like you said, to use what you just said, game changing. Like for this cycle, like we didn't have this in 2021, like in the middle of a bull run, to be able to like, I remember like what I'm conditioned to do, like when I see the market like tanking, my like first thing is I jump on Twitter, see what's happening. Like, what are people saying? Like, what are people assuming that this dump is for? Like, what are the TA guys saying? Like, all that kind of stuff. Like, I jump on for that. Now, like this bull run, like today, I did it today. I was in 2 or 3 spaces this morning before we came in, just to hear what people were saying.
What was some of the insights of they were saying about just a normal healthy liquidation?
Yeah, like
over leveraged,
long overdue. Like there were some longs that were liquidated, and there was, and the fact that this should have happened before. The fact Jason Williams, which is a really good follow on Jason A. Williams, I think is his Twitter handle. He's been in Bitcoin for a while. High net worth guy. He's really got a lot of great insight. And I was in Alchemist's room, and he was speaking in Alchemist's room today. And he was like, dude, like kind of what I said, like if you can't take the 4 or 5% drop today, dude, like get out before the bull run, because the bull run's going to be great when it's up like 30, 40, 50%, but like you're going to have them days where it's down 25%. Like let's say you have 100,000 in crypto and then you wake up and now it's 75 and you just lost 20. Like if you can't handle that, like if you can't handle this 4 or 5%, you better condition yourself, because they're going to come.
And the thing about crypto is when things sell off, like I know when we had that Black Swan event with the coronavirus, like we sold off and we got bought right back up. It was about a week or two. So when things do sell off, it's not going to be like that forever, right? Just tolerate it. You don't have to look and study your portfolio and look at it, because you're going to be so emotional. So a simple strategy I like to do when we have 5-10% drawdowns is just not look at your portfolio. Make sure you're in high conviction plays. If you're nervous, you might have to re-audit and reevaluate the positions you're holding. Because if you're in shit that you're iffy about, it makes sense why you're shitting your pants that morning. But that's why I hold high conviction plays, and I don't care about the short-term price action. So don't look at your portfolio and then just buy. And buy like plays that you have high conviction in. And that strategy's worked for me.
You know what I heard?
It never failed.
You know what I heard in the room today too? Somebody said, I can't remember who said it, and it made me think. I had to like really like mull it over for a second, but it made sense. Somebody said at the same time you can both have too much Bitcoin and not enough Bitcoin at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, like what does that mean? Like what does he mean by that? And it's like you have too much Bitcoin if you're too emotionally tied to that dollar value of that Bitcoin, while also nobody ever has enough Bitcoin, because you're always trying to continue to accumulate this great asset, right? And you realize that because when the things are going high, you're like, oh, I wish I had more, right? When things are rocketing off, you're always going to be like, oh, I have X amount, but I wish I had this much amount, right? So you're always going to be like, I wish I had more, but then you're also could be in a spot where you have too much dollar value tied to it that you're going to make bad decisions, which is going to cost you from having what you want to have when the price is rocketing off. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So let's give you an example. Let's play with numbers here. Let's just say that you have 1 Bitcoin, right? And that equates to $40,000, give or take some change right now. And that $40,000, you're just thinking about the $40,000, all you could do with it while you have that. And you're just like, oh my God, like you're emotionally tied when you see those jumps and you see those days where it goes down 5%. You're thinking about, oh, what I could have done with that money and all that. But then in 6-7 months, when Bitcoin rockets off and it's worth 100,000, you're like, man, why don't I have 2?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that you wish you had more, except for the days when it goes down. So you can both have too much and not have enough at the same time based on your mindset. So the key to that, the whole wraparound for that is like, you need to start to really focus on your mindset for this bull run. You got to get your mind in a spot where you're emotionally ready for the peaks and valleys that are coming, because the peaks are going to be high and the valleys, like during a bear market, like think about it. During a bear market, there's no like 50% drop days in a bear market. It's just a slow bleed. The beginning of it, you see like that accelerated bleed, but like all of 2022, it was a slow bleed. We never went from 20 to 10. We never went from 30 to 15. We didn't go from 40 to 20. We slow bled down. And it's just like an awful experience as you're just getting like, it's like getting like beaten like slowly. And it's like, it doesn't hurt at the beginning, but after a while, it's like, this shit is sore. I'm getting sore, right? It's like a slow bleed. In the bull market, you will see, we saw, and I bring it up all the time, 60,000 to 30,000 happened last bull run before we hit the all-time high. That was before 69. If that shook you out, you never saw it. There was a lot of people who never got to 69 because 60 to 30 was so traumatic. Think about that. Peak bull run, May 2021. We didn't top out for 5 months, and we lost 50% before we hit the all-time high. That is in the cards, bro. It's in the cards. That could happen again. We could be sitting at 150 one day and wake up and it's 75.
And then a few weeks later,
it's 200. And you don't see it because you just like, this is insane. I'm going to throw up. Get me off the Ferris wheel.
That's crazy. And that was in the middle of a bull market.
Yeah.
We had a 50% haircut in the middle of a bull market.
That's where they happen. They don't happen in the bear market. They happen in the bull market.
Because people are so over leveraged.
Because it's the rubber band effect. You need to pull that rubber band back so you snap and it goes farther. The rubber band's got to go back. That 50% rubber band's got to go down. So you're just like, oh shit. And when you let it go, it rockets.
I like that analogy.
Dude, again, I hate beating a dead horse. And I have multiple friends that I could refer you to tell you for confirmation that we had this. You've met a couple of them that will tell you when it went from 60 to 30, they were berating me saying, you should have sold. You're so dumb. What are you thinking? Crypto's dead. It's over. And every single one of them, without batting an eye, I said, it's not over yet. That wasn't the high.
What's crazy is we didn't have that in 2017 because we didn't have that double top kind of like mountain. Did you remember? It was just like one pump. We didn't have products.
We didn't have the 50% drop, but we had multiple 20 and 30% drops.
And I feel like we, in this cycle, this bull run, we have way more products that people use to leverage, which are easier to get your hands on. And I think that this could be in the cards for the next bull run.
If I had to bet money, which I won't, but if you asked me, gun to my head, will we have another 50% drop this bull run? Yes or no? I would say yes. I would say at some point before we hit the all-time high, sometime before we hit the all-time high, we will see another 50%, maybe more, drop.
But to be fair, for the people that were accumulating in 2019, 2020, right before we did go to 60K and had that 50% cut, at least my strategy, I'll be taking profits on that first initial run up. I don't even think my portfolio, because like I would, at least for me, at least for the 53 coins I'm in, you know, if I'm in accumulating these coins and we go up 200-300%, there's no way I'm still in 53 coins. But I know what you mean. Like
what you really want to do, if you want to start, and I think we've started, right? We've talked about this. We've started the next bull run. It's at the very beginning stages of it, maybe the first 5% of it. If you want to end the bull run with more Bitcoin than you have today, the best strategy you can possibly employ, and again, I told you I put a limit order in today or a market order in to if it hits below 40,000. It's actually the first time I've ever done it before. I just did it. I thought about it and
let's do it just for fun.
Yeah, for fun. But like, because this isn't really that big of a drop. But like, you're gonna want to be looking forward to the pullbacks, the 20% pullback, the 25% pullback. Those are the days you add to your stack. Those are the days you buy Satoshis, right? And also, like, whatever, like, I'm not giving this advice because it's not my area to do so, but like whatever altcoins or whatever you're in, they're going to bleed harder. So if Bitcoin's down 25, Ethereum might be down 30, and one of your altcoins might be down 50%. So one of your altcoin positions that you really, really love, that you really feel great about, might also be a great day to like double down in that. But for me, like during bull markets, I only add on the red days. I DCA the bear market, but during the bull market, like, it's just too hard because it's like things are going so quick. Like, you buy at run price and literally it doesn't even settle and it's up like, you know, it's already up another couple thousand. It's moving around. I specifically target those pullbacks. So those 6 pullbacks, like I was adding and DCAing during those, because then you end up with much more Satoshis by the end. And for me, a guy that's not selling, I want to end the bull run with as many more Satoshis as I possibly have from when it started.
Yeah.
Not dollars, not like hundreds of thousands of dollars, more millions more, or tens of millions more, or hundreds of millions of more. Well, that's a little crazy, but at least millions or tens of millions of more Satoshis than I started the bull run with. Right. Whatever my stack is right now, the goal is to be millions higher than that.
Can we both agree that our portfolios are higher now than they were at the peak in 2021 because we've been stacking?
Yeah, I say that all the time, and I actually, it's funny you say that, bringing this up. I just responded to a tweet today, and I talked about that because he was talking about market psychology and people getting so upset about the price being down today, and I said a little of what I just said in regards to like being able to handle psychologically the dips, but I also said in 2021, when I look at my portfolio was higher today than it was in 2021 because I'm not equating it to the fiat amount. Yeah. I'm equating it to the Satoshi amount. The Satoshis I had in November of 2021 is significantly less than the Satoshis I have today. So I am better off in my portfolio today than I was when Bitcoin was 69,000. And it's a hard concept for people to wrap their head around.
What's crazy is we could see a 50% haircut and I'd be still at roughly around where I was at in 2021 peak because I've been stacking hard as much. and a lot of my altcoins are ripping. But you have to keep in mind, like I have a buddy who reached out to me, and he's got a pretty large portfolio. He's not as I wouldn't say he's not educated. He's it takes hundreds of hours to understand crypto, but he's got a larger portfolio, and we've seen this 6% correction. So he reached out to me and said, big red day, should I add or whatever? And you have to keep in mind, like a 5-6% drawdown on $100 is $5-6. But when you have these bigger portfolios, it's a bigger number. So it could spook an investor. So that's why I'm just like, okay, like play systematic, understand that the numbers are just bigger and nothing's changed. This 5-6% is nothing really. So keep in mind as your portfolio grows and you do see these haircuts, like don't be spooked out. Like you have to, and that's why I like this podcast today, because we're talking a little bit more systems. Have a systematic plan. I can't stress it enough. Again, we're all unique and different and have our own situations. Like your strategy is different than mine. Yours is just buy and accumulate more Bitcoin, and my strategy is accumulate more fiat. But the more I hang out with you, it makes you just want to buy more Bitcoin. You do have a positive effect on me, and I hope by the end of this bull run, I do have 1 to 2, 3 Bitcoins, because it's only equates. I'll be honest with you, it's only 5% of my portfolio. Like I really have not much Bitcoin, but that will change. Because my thought process is Bitcoin, yeah, we'll see 300% gain. But this opportunity is so rare that I want to take a little bit more risk. And I have the time. You know what I mean? I'm young. The time's in my favor.
The main reason as a Bitcoin maxi that I don't take the toxic Bitcoin maximalist approach and crush you for like your portfolio or your decisions of altcoin shitcoinery is because you have the knowledge and you have the coins that could potentially get you to, like what you just said, like having 1, 2, 3 Bitcoin by the end of this cycle is a possibility for you. And the only reason why it's a possibility for you is because of the positions you have in these coins that you took at a time when the market was so low and you were able to perform. Now, yes, you could have been dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, all that, understand. Yes, all the maximalists will say all that, and I agree. But the ability for you to maximize your Satoshis exists with these shit coins if you employ that strategy that doesn't work in a regular job, that doesn't investing in real estate, that doesn't invest in equities, because all the risks that go along with that, and the markets will take forever for you to realize that. Whereas this bull run opportunity in 12 to 18 months will afford you the opportunity for 6-figure movements that you can allocate into Bitcoin that wouldn't be available to you if you didn't do that. If you just sat on the sidelines or just accumulated Bitcoin, you probably have far less Satoshis. So the objective is to get as many Satoshis as you possibly can by any means necessary, which is why I don't subscribe to the full-on toxic maximalist ideology where it's like we just stack Bitcoin and that's it. For those of us that have been in for a while and have more than 1 Bitcoin and have a significant amount, it's easy for us to say that because we got it at lower numbers. When we were accumulating, it wasn't a number that was unreasonable to the everyman to accumulate it. We were smart. Yes, pat us on the back. Awesome. But like, I'm not going to sit here and shove it down somebody else's throat that doesn't have that same opportunity for whatever reason and tell them that they shouldn't try to accumulate by that sort of strategy. And again, the only thing that is that like murky area for me is when you got the newbies coming in that try to, like, I endorse you doing it, but like newbie coming in and trying to do that is just not going to be successful on their own trying to do that. They're going to just, those people that come in with 10K and say, how do I allocate everything? And they just like try to do it on their own. Unless they find somebody like you that's smart to help them with that. And if they're doing it on their own, I will tell them 10 times out of 10, put it into Bitcoin, put it in cold storage and just forget about it rather than go try to buy all these other coins and leverage your way into getting a Bitcoin, because it's just never going to happen.
And if you do have like 20, 50 coins, a simple strategy to know whether you should sell or not is, would you buy it today? If you wouldn't buy the coin today, just sell the coin, rotate it into something you believe in. And that's actually, I'll be honest with you, I was in more than 50 coins. I was in like 70, 80 coins. Maybe I didn't have thousands of dollars in each one, but I had a couple $100 and my lowest coin, maybe like $80 with a market cap of like 12 million. But I was auditing my portfolio and I was like, would I buy this today? No. So why am I holding this? And it was an easy thought process for me to
so you have 53 coins that you would buy today?
Yeah, I do.
It's wild.
Is it? I know.
To me, not to you, but to me, it's wild.
That is crazy. It's a lot to handle, and it's in like 5 different ledgers. So, but I'm auditing it every week, every month. I'm making sure. But yeah, that's just like a simple strategy to do. And that's why, because in the previous bull run 2021, I was actually only holding Olympus DAO. Was the ticker. I didn't have any Bitcoin. Maybe I had a little bit of Ethereum to pay for gas fees, but I was in one coin, and I got wrecked. Like literally lost, I think 45K on one coin. And then when the coin went from 40 grand down to 3,000, I'm looking at it, and that's when I sold and I converted into Ethereum, and that's when I started my journey of like, all right, let's build a portfolio, build a sports team, build a really good portfolio. And I was like, would I buy this today? Probably not. It's not doing. And then that's where I started building my portfolio. And then I get a lot of my information from Twitter, like we just talked about. Mm-hmm. I'm not like, and then some of it was through on-chain analysis and software like that. But I feel like fundamentals go out the window sometimes, especially in bull markets. I guess like fundamentals are a narrative, but it's mostly just narratives. All my plays are. They're not fundamentals, they're narratives, and narratives and community can be enough to do a 50x. But like I said, like rotating it into Bitcoin, and we're going to be Bitcoin maxis. I'm going to join the 21 club with you, man.
Yeah, this Wednesday when we do our spaces, my plan is to start out the spaces talking about the properties of money, like having a conversation and identifying what each property is and what it does. Because again, when we talk about like all these crypto coins and we talk about like Bitcoin, we talk about Ethereum, like you should know like what the point of like what Bitcoin is, what it does, like what Ethereum is, all the chain, all the stuff that goes on with that. CoinX that you buy, what the tokenomics are, like what is it supposed to be doing? Like it can't always just be number go up. Like what's happening behind the scenes? Like we talk about with chain link, interoperability, all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Like it does other things which could potentially result in price action, like positive price action. So like, you know, and I continue to go back to these coins because again, I don't know any of, like I can use Pepe, I guess, in Bencoin, and like what do they do? Like what are these coins? Community. Like what are the, like outside of like the hardcore? And again, I'll probably, if somebody's watching this on TikTok and is in this community, they're probably going to be pissed at me. But like ADA, like the ADA community, the Cardano community is like, dude, I will give them. I will not talk shit about the community because they are strong. Like they are diehard Cardano. Like Charles Hoskins is God. Mm-hmm. Like they are hardcore in that community. But like there's so many things that, you know, is supposed to occurred with Cardano that are like broken promises, and that's bad for. And it goes back to like the whole fact that like you have this guy has the exchange centralized, that his decision making and things he implements kind of like reflects what the price is going to do. So you have to rely on him. Whereas with like Bitcoin is decentralized, there is no central figure you have to worry about making decisions, which is a problem.
That's going into my next question, and I want to play a game. So let's say like my dad or someone that doesn't believe in Bitcoin, crypto, whatever, is in front of you. In under 60 seconds, can you give your best Bitcoin explanation in 1 minute? And then I'll go from what I think, and then we'll compare and contrast.
You're not going to like my answer.
Do it.
You're not going to like my answer.
All right, let's hear it.
You can't. I wouldn't disrespect Bitcoin, and I wouldn't disrespect your father's intellect to try to do it in 60 seconds when it takes a longer amount of time to really understand it. Because I can say something that will sound really good to you, sound really good to like somebody that loves Bitcoin, may even sound decent to your dad, but like in 60 seconds, there's absolutely no way I'm going to turn somebody that doesn't get it to make the light bulb go off. We'll have.
If you could try, let's hear it.
It wouldn't. No, I'm just saying. I'm saying that like those types of conversations aren't valuable.
Right.
Like we need because number one, your dad. I don't, not just to talk shit about your dad, but I don't think your dad has like real intention to learn. Mm-hmm. So you need somebody with intention to learn, number one, and the desire to learn, and the time that they're willing to put forth to learn, and then we can sit down and have multiple conversations. I can show them some podcast episodes. I can bring them in our spaces, or I can do some one-on-one DMing, or spend time over a coffee and explain some things and break it down. It's so complex. And I've said this before, dude. It took me, I was in the space for 5 years before the light bulb went on, and it's like, I'm never selling ever. Like I took profits along the way. Like I took fiat profits. significant to many people, fiat profits. I'd have far more Bitcoin today if I didn't take those profits. But it's a learning process. So for me to get somebody in 60 seconds that doesn't believe in it, to like say, "Oh, dude, you changed my life." Like, give me a ledger. Like it's just like it's not a reality. It would be like I could have a 60-second conversation to break down the things we would have to do if you were really had intention that I could give you, that I could send you on the path to conviction. Yeah. But I'm not going to give you conviction in 60 seconds.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah.
I know you had one, so share it with everybody, because I know that you had something ready for if I gave you the 60-second one.
Well, I would talk about like decentralization, peer-to-peer, and this is what I do, because like my dad's an Italian, like he's like quick, like fast, like so I'm like blah, and then he's like interrupting me like 15 seconds in, like talking about stocks and stuff. But I basically like the biggest thing is just like decentralization, a peer-to-peer, trustless, like these key words that censorship resistant. Just like
here's the issue, right? You all great, and as a Bitcoiner and somebody in the space for a long time, it all clicks, and I'm like, yeah. But like again, this is why you need to be outside of your echo chamber, and I know what people will say and what they think. I know what the opposition thinks. So right off the bat, when you say decentralized, right? To a lot of people, we have to be honest. Like, they might say they want decentralized, but they really don't. Because when you break down what decentralized means, it's scary for people. They're comfortable going to the bank and just putting money in the bank and just assuming the bank takes on that responsibility for them, right? Putting the responsibility back on the consumer can be very overwhelming for people that have never done that before. Like, self-custodying your Bitcoin is a tough concept that even many Bitcoiners don't do. We can't get all the Bitcoiners that have conviction for Bitcoin to self-custody. So how am I going to get somebody that doesn't even believe in this the way that all of us do to like hear decentralized and get excited about it? Many people get scared when you say that. They like the centralized entities that they deal with. They like not having that responsibility. That's why the banks get so fabulously wealthy, because all of us suckers take our money and put it there because we sleep good at night thinking that they're good actors when they're not.
And actually, I had a few scares, like going on Twitter and seeing people like post, like, my account got hacked. What do I do? And then they're like going over, like, they did everything right. They took all the security measures. They had like no sketchy extensions. They weren't downloading things. And then they came to the conclusion that their 12-word seed phrase, someone guessed it, through MetaMask, because they give you the 12-word seed phrase. And I'm seeing all these people like, oh, yeah, me too, my Phantom wallet and all this stuff. And then I was like questioning. I was like, and these are all hot wallets. So I have a little bit of money on some hot wallets, not cold too, but some on hot. And then I was even questioning, like, I was like, oh my God, like, I kind of want to send this to an exchange, like, because I was getting a little nervous. And then I realized, like, okay, well, maybe someone got their seed phrase that they thought they trusted or something like that.
Right off the bat, like, nobody's guessing the 12C passcode.
Yeah.
It would take like supercomputer like 36,000 years or some ridiculous astronomical number. That's not happening. Nobody's guessing it. Yeah. Nobody's guessing
in
the
exact order. Yeah.
There's some sort of gap that they probably did that they don't even realize. Like, they might say all the things that they did properly and I didn't do it. It's like something happened that they did incorrectly. Like I said, I've had my Bitcoin in the self-custody spot that I've had it in. I've had it since 2017, and I haven't transacted out of it. Like, there's been no outgoing transactions.
Doesn't that make you kind of nervous though?
Not at all. I sleep well.
Have you ever? Because I don't know what you use as to store your Bitcoin, but have you ever like tested it, like sent a transaction out of it to another wallet? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now my next question.
I actually I'm lying. I did send $50 worth for, I don't remember what I did it for, but I did it this year. Early this year I did.
What about
the first outgoing transaction?
What about your 12-word seed phrase? Have you ever tried to plug it in to make sure it works?
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that multiple times since 2018, and I've done it as recently as like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, I like to do like a security check every 6 to 12 months to make sure.
Yeah.
and always gets better security. Like you're a Bitcoiner and you're still like not even in cold storage. It's crazy.
No,
Hot wallet. You're using a hot wallet.
Well, I mean,
like anyone could. Let's say someone gets your phone and gets your password. They can transact right on it, right?
no, they can't. There's multiple.
Two-factor authenticators.
Yeah, they can't. They can't do it.
Okay.
They can't. Do it.
And there's other scares of people getting SIM swapped. You ever see that?
Yeah.
Do you want to? Do you know like what that is? Where like people get access to your phone number and your identity through calling like a Verizon and pretending to be you.
That's one way they can do it, but the main way it's been happening is they know somebody at the phone company, and somebody at the phone company has been like providing that information to somebody for like lots of money if they know that you have a ton of money and stuff like that. But you can do like anti-SIM swap stuff like that, and then there's also like the thing that I use is been around forever, and there's so many security features. It's not one of these like other like you're not.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been using it since 2017. It's got time in the market. It's been around for a long time. And there's just it's not. You can literally like there's no reviews on people ever having any sort of issues.
Because I was thinking about using that as an option. So
I honestly feel more comfortable with where I have it than
in cold storage.
No, like the Trezors and the.
Why?
Or I'm sorry, not the Ledgers. Like Ledger's been having a lot of bad pub, and I'll tell you. And again, I'm not saying that it's terrible. What I will say is that if you look up problems with self custodies and you look at Ledger and you look at what I use, you'll see far more issues here, and you'll have trouble finding any with what I use.
Okay, that's good.
It almost doesn't exist.
Right.
With what I use.
Awesome. Do you have any thoughts, Rich? Any questions?
Actually, not really today. I was thinking about being the old Italian guy over here. I'm it's funny because it's there's things that I agree with your answer about trying to explain something to someone. Being a teacher for 30 years, you have to know, looking at the person you're trying to educate, if they really want to be educated. And I would say most people, if you've got to get into a discussion with them to try to convince them,
you already lost.
They don't want they want you to be wrong because they're married to the system. Whether the banks but they're married to that system because they don't know anything else, and they probably don't really want to invest that much time into something else. And I'll be honest, to me, that's probably my biggest issue that I would have with my point at this point in my life, having what I have, where I have it. When I sit and I listen to these conversations, it's not that I doubt. Clearly, you gentlemen know what you're talking about. The battle that I'm having in my brain, if I was going to move in that direction, would be, okay, how hard is it going to be to move what I already have because it's so locked into some real specific old world systems. The question that I would have is, there's a 10-year-old right now that's going to be right with you guys in 10 years.
My daughter?
Yeah. How is she, or that person that doesn't have access to someone like you that maybe can help them, like they're just a regular dude, guy, girl, something that wants to get into this, but are they going to be able to because there is a limited number of Satoshis? Like how is that those people that just they had the bad luck of being born 15 years later, how are those people going to be able to survive and work their way into?
Great question.
That's to me, like,
great question.
Because we're running out of Satoshi, so to speak.
Great question. We're running out of time. And that's why we created this podcast, and that is specifically why when I talk in terms of never selling and I talk in 10, 20, 30-year windows, like I'm holding this for my 10-year-old and my 12-year-old. Like it's for them. You know what I'm saying? So I know and recognize that what you just said is accurate, that when my daughter and my son are old enough to make their own financial decisions, the price is going to be astronomically higher. And B, by the time my daughter's 20, that's 10 years. We're talking 2.5 more cycles. So we're talking at that point, I believe we'll be under 1 per block. She go from 3. The next one after that will be 1.6. Yeah, you'll be under by the time she's 20. They'll be mining 1 per block, which will be okay. We're going to 450, 225. It'll be like 100 a day, 100 and something a day. By the time she's 20, in 10 years, 100 something a day, right? So that's why I'm talking to their parents, or I'm talking to their aunt and their uncle, because it's imperative that they see this. Because their kids, by the time they're old enough, it will be like Satoshis, like hundreds, thousands, tens, thousands of Satoshis that will be significant for them to get, right? In 10 years, like if the price, let's say in 10 years, some people are calling for $1 million. I think it's possible.
Let's say $1 million.
Let's say it's $1 million. Again, let's say it's 500. 500 is, I think 500 is almost a lock, I would say, depending on what part of the cycle we're in. Let's say 500, right? So that's more than a 10x from here. So you have to 10x. Right now, if you want 1 million Satoshis, it costs you $400. So 1 million Satoshis will cost over 4,000 at that point. Just for 0.01. Just for 1% of 1 Bitcoin, it'll be 4,000 for that. And we're calling the low end. Let's say it's 1 million. Now times that by 20. Now you're talking 8,000, right? So there'll still be Satoshis for them to get. But when we say Satoshis, like in this moment right now, it isn't as big as it will be in the future, right? Mm-hmm. The last block, Rich, in 2040, the last block,
2140?
In 2140, from 2140 on, each block will be 1 Satoshi. Right now, each block is 6.25 or something? 6.25 Satoshis per block. I'm sorry, 6.25 Bitcoin. So that's 625 million Bitcoin per block. In a little more than 117 years, it'll be 1 Satoshi. So 1 compared to 625 million in a century, in some change. So Satoshis will be even more valuable than they are now. So we talk in Satoshis because even today, the average person doesn't have 40K laying around just to throw into a Bitcoin. Like they don't have that. The average savings is like, I think the latest thing I looked at, 40% of the population can't come up with $400 for an emergency. So 1% of that they don't have. So for them to just have 40,000 laying around to buy 1 coin. So talking in terms of Satoshis today is relevant. But in the future, 10, 20, 30 years, that's all we'll be talking about is Satoshis. We won't be talking about, oh, I'm trying to get to 1 Bitcoin. It'll be like, I'm trying to get to 1 million Satoshis. So to spin it back to what you were talking about, like when you're trying to have that conversation and you're trying to sell the fact of engaging into Bitcoin, the sales really starts at not you need Bitcoin. It's why you need it. The system that you're in now, we have to educate people on how that works and why Bitcoin is the answer and the solution to that. And that without it, you're spiraling towards this continuing issue that the fiat system presents to you. Does that make sense, Rich?
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, we're coming down to our last minutes here. I do want to say, again, another call to action. Wednesdays, X, follow
at RANALLI underscore Don.
So Rinaldi Don.
Rinaldi underscore Don.
And then at GADGET underscore DeFi. Or no, sorry. It's DeFi Gadget. We'll
DeFi.
put all the links in the show notes.
Yep.
But come in, join us, speak, collaborate with us. 8:30 Eastern Time on X.
Got to make sure this is out before that then.
Yeah. And also, follow us on TikTok. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. We're posting daily videos to help inform you guys on this new revolutionary industry. And share with a friend.
If you watch this video and you get any value at all, because I see like we're getting between 40 and 80 views per long form video. You know, we get our short form videos. We had one like over 6,000 views. If you watch this, you click on the video and you watch it. The only thing that we ask that helps out the channel a ton is that you just click the like. I mean, if you wanna write a comment, that's great. But like just hitting the like button when you watch this helps it out and helps it get out in the algorithm a little bit more. And maybe somebody that has been watching us will find us. If you do watch this and you're not a subscriber, which I'm sure occurs as well, and you find value and you watch some of our older content and you like that as well, consider subscribing to the channel. All that helps. Again, we're not out here, you know, trying to change who we are and be something that we're not in order to get more followers. We're just who you're getting Troy and you're getting Don for who and what we are. So it's authenticity. If you like authenticity, give us a follow.